Okay.
We'll be live before we realize it. And there we are. And we're live. Hey, folks, welcome back to another of our discussions today with one of Dave's students, Brenda Hayden of Aunt Bee's Blossoms in Kansas. Hi.
Hello, welcome from Kansas.
Hi, Brenda. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So I am going to, so y'all, you know, the technology deal. I'm just trying to get us all lined up here. So Brenda, I so appreciate you joining me here. I know that you've had another market today, right? Isn't Saturday and Sunday market days for you?
Oh, no, just Saturday. Just Saturday.
Just Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you know, just a little rerun, friends. Yesterday, Brenda was on with me, and as well as another flower farmer, Tracy of Early Bird Acres, and she got kicked off because of an internet issue, and we were so distressed over that. So we're bringing her back to you today, and so I am just really glad that Tracy's going to be here, and we're really talking about, we want to hear about her experience to have taken Dave's course. Kind of, did it help her? Did it not help her? But before we start any of that, friends, I want to hear more about Brenda and her business and her farm. So Brenda, how long have you been flower farming?
This is my third year of being a flower farmer.
And you're located in Kansas. Kind of put us on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. I am about 40 miles southwest of the Kansas City metro area, 20 minutes straight south of Lawrence, Kansas, in a small town called Ottawa. We have about 14,000 people, and we're zone 6A.
And so I have to ask you this. So have you ever met Lynn Bazinski?
I have not, but I know people that have. So it's that's kind of cool. I didn't realize when I bought her book that's where it all started.
Right. I think it's Lawrence, Kansas, yes, right?
Absolutely.
So for those that are not familiar, Lynn Bazinski wrote the book, The Flower Farmer, which literally, I believe, started the majority of all the flower farmers that I know anyway. I mean, tens of thousands of people have read her book. And she has since, believe it or not, Brenda, she and I have become like really good friends.
Oh, that's exciting.
And you know what? I mean, it's like, I did a podcast with her to catch up with her. I think this was like 4 or 5 months ago. It's on the Field and Garden podcast. And I was starstruck talking to her. And, you know, she doesn't understand it, just like, you know, I mean, so I just so appreciate Lynn anyway. So she is a dear, sweet person, and their family owns a business there in Lawrence. It's the Italian.
Oh, yes.
Italian seed. They sell vegetable seeds from Italy. And anyway, so I just had to ask you that, since we know where you are. So tell us a little bit about your farm, how big it is, what you kind of focus on growing.
Okay, great. It's on 1/4 of an acre. I am lucky enough that my parents live out in the country and have quite a bit of property, and they have given me this fenced in old place where the horses used to graze. So I have a 5-foot fence around 1/4 of an acre of land where I grow my flowers. And I have, we just put up a hoop house last year. So I grew undercover this last year. So that was really exciting. I concentrated this last year. I mean, my first year was, I took your course the first year, and the first time I did a few cool flowers, and then I did the sunflowers, the zinnias, the celosia, the basil, and all that the first year. And each year I've expanded a little bit. I love snapdragons. I failed my first year at snaps. The seed heads just stayed on those little stinkers, and I was so upset. But then I figured out how to do it, and so snaps have kind of been my passion lately. And lots of sunflowers. I'm doing some Lizzies again. I don't start those from seed, but I purchased the plugs, and they're looking beautiful in my hoop house right now. And yeah, so I'm just trying to find my niche,
Yes,
and
yes.
and not go too crazy.
Well, I think first I want to commend you for going slow. That is probably the hardest lesson of everything. Is I was talking to another farmer a few days ago. She was like, it's all she can do to hold because she has lots of land
Mhm.
and she has resources available to invest. And she said, I want to do exactly what Dave Dowling tells you, do not do it. Just plant a few perennials, just plant a few woodies, try a few bulbs. And so my hat is off to you for doing that. So who is so far, and in your third year, I remember in my third to fifth year, I was still like trying to find out who really is my customer. I would sell to
Absolutely.
anybody, right?
Right. Yeah.
So tell us who you've sold to and what you think you're kind of finding your way to.
Okay, I like that question because it's changing a lot. But I started off with the farmers market my first year, and just to get the word out about my flowers, and it was a lot of fun. My second year, I added my website. I did a little bit of. I hired somebody. I hired somebody to help me design my logo and help me design my website because that is not my thing. So I really do sell a lot of my flowers through my website. I do a specialty occasion bouquet that's a $25 bouquet. People can either pick it up on my side porch or I deliver it for an extra $5 in my community. So that was my second year. I worked on that. And then this last year, I have added a flower share to the other two things as well. And I was pretty successful with my tulip share. I did a 4-week tulip share this year. I limited it to 10 people, 10, I had some people pick up and I delivered some. And I just finished my spring flower share. And it was 11. I had 11 customers. Some picked up, some delivered. And then I have a summer share that starts in a couple of weeks, and then I'll have a late summer share. So those are the three avenues of selling. Oh, and then plus I do have a friend of mine that owns a small ice cream shop downtown in our historic district. And she lets me drop bouquets off on Thursdays and sells them for me there.
That's
So,
pretty awesome.
yeah,
And
it's
I mean, and isn't it so hard to, when somebody might hear you say, well, I did 10 here and 11 here, that may not sound like a lot, but it is a lot when you're the one having to produce the flowers week after week and you start adding all that stuff up. So my hat's off. I mean, you obviously have better control than I do.
well, I don't know if I have control.
Well, I mean, it's a little terrifying, right? But only good things come when we're a little bit scared. So you have not sold to Florist, or have you?
I have tried, well, I don't, let's see, I have talked to a florist in my town. And I think what's holding me back a little bit is my availability, being able to tell them what I will have available the next week or what I will have available in 2 weeks. I feel like I don't have enough experience to know by looking at this sunflower, is that sunflower going to be ready next Wednesday when they need it? Or is it going to be ready next Friday and it's too late for them? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's part of it. And also I have a florist in my town. He's got beautiful flowers. He's been in business for many years, but they're used to buying from the wholesaler in Kansas City.
Yeah. So it can be a challenge. So, but it sounds like you're certainly kind of doing your thing, finding your customers. So what would you say was probably the biggest eye opener? I know you took my course and then you took Dave's. So what was the big, like, oh my goodness, I never knew that when you took Dave's course?
Well, I know that when I was taking your course, I was hearing about his course and I was hearing tulips and I was looking at the ranunculus and the dahlias and all those things. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so exciting. But I didn't realize that tulips come in different sizes. You can buy the wrong size bulb. I didn't know that. I didn't know that when you go order anemones and ranunculus that you can get this itty bitty tiny corm versus a great big corm. And so my first year ordering, I kind of flubbed up a little bit. And I also, like when you buy tulip bulbs, I planted them all on the same, depth. but I had some that were this big and some that were this big. And it had nothing to do with how deep I planted them. It was because when I purchased them, I didn't look at the stem length or the size of the bulb. So that was a really big eye opener to me.
And Brenda, I'm so glad you shared that, because Dave and I just, he and I are talking a lot this last week with, enrollment open. And we shared the other night after we got off of a conversation that we should do a show on nothing but the blunders of people that have reached out to him, because him being not only an instructor, but being, he's a sales rep for a horticultural company.
Right.
And so and he takes care of the cut flower industry. So people call him constantly. The sad stories of people purchasing, the one that always pops in my mind when I think of tulips, there was actually, and this happened several years ago, a gal that bought thousands of tulips, and they were all like bedding tulips. So they never got over 12 inches. I mean, thousands of them. That was a lot of money. That was a lot of heartache. And so how did the course, so talk to us just a little bit about that kind of information. So Dave kind of tells you the whole enchilada, right?
Oh, absolutely. I counted up this morning, there's over 60 flowers that he talks about. He probably talks about more, but there's over 60 flowers that you talk about, stage of harvest, when to order them, what type to order, what you can do with them as a flower farmer, how you would sell them at the market, which ones, like alliums. I knew nothing about alliums. I have all kinds of alliums now, and I love them because they come between tulips and the peonies, and the drumstick alliums are just now getting ready to start. And it's just something that you don't even have to do much with. You put them in the ground and that's it,
Right.
So there's just so much knowledge, and it's on my phone in my back pocket whenever I need, to look at it and see, what I need to do with the flowers that are out in my field.
I just keep hearing people say that about, that they're out in the field or out in the garden planting, and they pull Dave out to see what he has to say. It's almost like this course needs to be called something else. I mean, like this amazing reference tool. Yes. So what's it like when so you can log in on your phone, you go inside, and then the way it's set up is pretty easy to motor around, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, I just open it up, and if like right now I have some liatris I need to plant. And so I just go in, press liatris and listen to it. It's like a 5-minute little, spiel about everything you need to know about. I might be saying it wrong, liatris. Right. And then I go plant it and do it and just wait for it to grow, And
that sounds so simple, but it's not so simple when you don't have that information.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and you know what I like? I mean, I value like your experience and David's experience and all the other classes. I value that knowledge that you have. And to me, this course is almost not, I don't want you to raise your prices, but I'm just saying.
I understand.
It's a deal. I mean, to get all that knowledge and then to have it forever, and then to have it on the Facebook groups and all the different, and the people you meet throughout the country too, and become friends with.
It's true. So do you use the optional closed Facebook group?
I don't like to ask questions, but I definitely scroll through there. And if it's something that I see that I'm having a problem with or I've experienced, I will definitely go through the feed and read about it. I might say something every once in a while, but I don't like to ask questions.
You and I are so much, believe it or not, I'm really kind of a stalker I'm a member of a couple of business Facebook groups. And that's what I do. It's like I learned so much from reading other people's questions. And I was reposting from one of the podcasts that we did with Nicole Pitt. And I was pulling out little glickups. And that's exactly what she said. She said, I go on there and find questions that I didn't even know I had.
Well, that's true.
I mean, is that not just really helpful? And so folks that are watching us now, I am speaking with Brenda Hayden of Aunt Bee's Blossoms, and she's in Canada, and she is one of Dave's students. She's one of my students too, but we're talking to her about Dave's course, Bulbs, Perennials, Woodies and More, which is our school on all of those crops, which if you are a flower farmer or even an avid gardener. You know, we've had several people that are serious gardeners that have taken Dave's course and said, you can't find this information anywhere else. You know, how you really, the nitty gritty on, I mean, you can find all kinds of perhaps, I don't want to call out any bad resources, and it's not that they're bad. They're just so dadgum scientific. They're not about what happened when you actually grew them and the problems. Or, I mean, I love sharing what beneficial insects and pollinators are drawn to my specific flowers, even though I'm not growing them for that. And I mean, I know that Dave, he talks too, doesn't he, Brenda, about different ways to grow, like whether it be in a crate or in the ground or that kind of thing, right?
Well, absolutely. And the first year that when I took his class, I didn't have a high tunnel. And so I really wanted to try the ranunculus and anemones. And I don't know if he mentioned somewhere, I am sure he did, that, you know, I just did a little caterpillar tunnel and I just created the same thing as a high tunnel would. And I grew my ranunculus and my anemones quite successfully just using that, you know, the caterpillar tunnel.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, and I think that that's one of the, especially again, I'll just say it, I keep saying it over and over, we don't know what we don't know. Right. And I can't remember if it was Katie of Simple Farm Flowers that said this, or if it was Tracy yesterday. One of them was talking about that they had gotten a crop of some perennial they had ordered, or no, actually it was Woodies. I'm sorry, it was Woodies. And they thought, oh, I'll just quick Google what the spacing is supposed to be. And they said when they Googled it, when they read the information, they thought, that doesn't sound quite right. Obviously, because Google is talking about landscapes, right? Went to the course, went to Dave's category on that session. And it's like, she almost planted them twice as far apart as she was supposed to. And that doesn't sound like much, but that is a big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't think I would have ever known how close you're supposed to plant tulips in a crate. Do you grow lilies?
I don't grow lilies, but I am the lilies I'm growing. And I know he talks about how close you can grow those too. And the checkerboard pattern, I think he's talked about. And I did that with the 2-1-2-1. And I didn't realize they could be so close.
Right. I mean, that's just more income per square foot, right? When you do that stuff.
Yes.
So I'm just looking to see what, so tell me what, how do you think Dave changed your business, or the course changed your business? I mean, where do you think you'd be perhaps if you hadn't had that knowledge? Would you still be where?
I still think I would probably be growing annuals probably quite successfully, you know, starting my seeds, but I wouldn't have those, what am I trying to say? I don't think I would have tried. I have willows now. So, you know, that's something fun. I have a lot of willows, and I wouldn't have done the alliums. I wouldn't have had that fun little flower between the tulips and the peonies here in Kansas. Definitely the tulips, you know, I mean, the cooler part of it, you know, when he said, if you're going to grow a lot of tulips and you don't have a cooler, that's probably not a really great idea. And so I really had to think hard about, well, am I really going to grow tulips? And I really wanted to do it. And so we got a cooler that second year, and you know, I was able to have tulips for 4 weeks and keep my customers happy for that 4 weeks. That was exciting.
And that just extends everything, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And so what would you say, having perhaps this guidance from someone that's actually done it, what's that do for your confidence level?
Oh, it's huge, because, you know, I was thinking about this the other day, that, you know, a lot of things are lost in translation. There's a lot of people out there which are doing a great job in this industry and passing on information. And I've used quite a bit of it myself, but I really love the fact that when I get the information from Dave or from you, I've taken Gretel and Steve's course too. It's coming from that experience of somebody that's done it for over 20 years. And they know, they know what they're telling me is, you know, true, I guess, or, that they've
Right.
tried it this way. So
Sure. And so what about the weekly, there's a weekly Q&A, which we
Mhm,
call them like mini kind of coaching sessions
right.
that you can submit questions for. So did you find that those were valuable, or how did that go for you?
Well, absolutely. I always would sit and listen. Like I said, I wasn't much of a question asker, but I would sit and listen, and I still sit and listen to those, even the ones that have come after my course, because we still have access to the course for a lifetime. And I listen to those on my drive to Kansas City, or if I have to drive back and forth to my farm because I don't live where I farm. So I'm always listening to information and it's nice that it's available, all the time.
And so I'm glad you mentioned that. So what she's saying is that once you buy the course, it is yours for lifetime, meaning you just log in wherever you have internet, you can log into your online library and there's your course. Well, once you take the course, you not only have access to all the past Q&As. I think Dave's class perhaps has 3. I think this is the 4th time. So
Mhm,
there's 3 additional Q&As for
mhm.
each week. And then moving forward, all the new Q&As also are added in. And we were really thrilled last year that we changed the format of our Q&As, and they're now PowerPoints and they're time stamped, so you can kind of like search and find things a little bit easier. So Brenda, so overall, what would you say to maybe one of your flower farming friends that say, so how did it help you, and is it worth it?
Oh, it's definitely worth it. My business has increased. I mean, every year I've added, whether it's money in my pocket, I guess. I mean, I've definitely made the money
Right.
back that I've invested in Dave's course. And I always think about it like college. I mean, you go to college to learn how to, be an engineer or a doctor. You might go to a trade school to learn how to, be an electrician. Well, I wanted to grow flowers, and so I came to the gardener's workshop, and that's my education right there. That's my college, my flower college.
And I think because I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I was thinking about this yesterday. I think it's easy for people to jumpstart a flower farming business with no knowledge
Mhm.
because we're gardeners. That's how we all start, right? And people can just grow more and more and more, and then they just kind of fumble along and try to find their way. And I guess, I mean, there are certainly people that have done it that way. But there's quicker, faster, easier, more successful ways. And I think it kind of stacks the cards for you to be successful when you
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
good knowledge. So I meant to ask you this at the beginning. So Brenda, did you have a career previous to this?
That's a good question. I was a stay-at-home mom for a very long time, and then life events happened. I went back to work and I was a teacher. I have a degree in education.
Awesome.
But yeah, that was it, really. So
I
I
just always love hearing what people were doing. And so how did you learn about Flower Farm?
that is a good question too. And I think somehow it landed in my lap. I mean, I lived in Florida for 13 years, and life events happened. I moved back to Kansas, and I come from an agricultural background. My brother is a conventional row farmer. My great grandparents homesteaded here in Kansas. And I found you one day and found flower farming. And I was like, wow, I've got the space, we have the equipment, all I needed was the knowledge, and that was you. I mean, so I knew nothing. I absolutely knew nothing about flower farming.
You and I had that in common because, I started dabbling in gardening and stumbled literally across Lynn's book, happened to have just married the guy that came with the land and some equipment, and it all just worked out. So Brenda, thank you so much for taking the time to share your thoughts on Dave's course and your experience, because I feel like students' firsthand experience is just priceless to other people that are considering taking the course. And so just to kind of recap for anyone that's watching, Dave's course, Bulbs, Perennials, Woodies and More, is a 6-week course. which just means it is delivered to you over 6 weeks into your online library. You can surely watch it at your convenience, but we recommend you kind of cruise through it the week you get it so that you can attend the Q&A and even submit questions to that to have them addressed. And those Q&As are also recorded and put into your online library. You have lifetime unlimited access. The course is $595. There is a payment plan if you need that. When you check out, that's one of the options. And then while you're in school, you have an optional Facebook group that you can join, and that puts you in a group with everybody else that's going through what you're going through. And I just found that to be a really great community. Did you not? That, I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. And I've met some of the people that live close to me that have taken the course, and it's a really good
that's
way
awesome.
to meet other people. Yeah.
It's awesome. And then once the school is over, which is about 6 to 7 weeks, because actually there's one last Q&A 2 weeks after the course ends to give people kind of time to catch up. And then they'll cover any questions that got missed. And then you have the option of joining the alumni Facebook group. And these are all just Dave's students. And not everybody elects to do it. Not everybody is a Facebook user. And we encourage people, you can join Facebook and nobody needs to know. You can just use these groups, because I find that they are so beneficial, particularly when you have a quick question, you have a problem or a disaster or a pest or a disease that you need help on. I mean, there's just a lot of great help. So the course only enrolls once a year, and it will be open until June 13th, which is tomorrow, 2022 at midnight. And, you know, I just recommend it to people. I think people don't know what they don't know. And I mean, it's like you with, it's so funny. Everybody's mentioned the Alliums. Tracy mentioned those, Katie mentioned those, and Nicole mentioned those. I mean, everybody else, it's one of those bulb crops. I grew them for many, many years that your customers love because they don't see them very often.
Yep.
You can buy inexpensive bulbs. They perennialize. Voles don't eat them. I mean, is this sounding like a good crop to grow?
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's
they're fun.
And they're fun. They really, really are. So Brenda, I appreciate you taking the time to join me here again. So tell folks how they can, are you active on social media for your?
I am on Instagram at Aunt Bee Blossoms. I'm on Facebook as well. And I do have a TikTok.
Good for you.
But I'm not under Aunt Bee's Blossoms. I started the TikTok a little bit before I had my name, and I am the flower gal on TikTok. So it's definitely, I do different things over there, and it's a lot of fun.
And you have a website.
Oh, I do. It's www.auntbeeblossoms.com. And I'd love people to go check it out and give me some feedback on it. I think it's very pretty, and it's been a lot of fun to share things on there too.
And you're selling flowers through your website.
Absolutely. Yes.
So yes, everybody should. I mean, that would be a great learning curve on that. So, all right, folks, connect with Brenda. And if you have questions, Dave and I, what time are Dave and I on tonight? So tonight, stand by, y'all. I want to tell you right. Tonight they send me all my notes. Today's the 12th, right? Tonight at 7:30, Dave and I will be on Instagram, and then we'll be back here on Facebook at 8 o'clock. So please, friends, if you have questions about the course, I mean, any question, there is no dumb question. So Brenda, the course also includes handouts, right? There is not a book that's written to go with it, but there's handouts and resources, where to buy stuff. Yep. Even in Canada, which is a big question, an often question. We have a lot of Canadian students. So, all right, folks. Thank you, Brenda. And I hope you're off to a great season.
It's been great. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenda. And y'all, till we meet again in just a few hours. Ciao.
Bye.